200 people registered. I think that's a fantastic first go around. And you'll also hear from us following our meeting here today with a quick survey to see how we can improve. You know, we always want to get better at what we do. You know, not being able to gather as a community is quite honestly breaks my heart. But as I look for the silver lining, I can see that we're way more connected than ever before. And because of those connections, we're able to accelerate many of our projects. And, you know, I was saying to Lindsay just earlier before we had started, without Zoom, I don't know if we'd ever be able to have so many meetings that fit into the day and into our weeks. So, you know, we're really, really blessed for that. My name is Joe Salemi. I'm the Deputy Executive Director here at Landscape Ontario and proud to be your host for today. A very special thank you to all of our chapter leaders who have all contributed to this afternoon's program. Following our two featured presentations, and they're going to be really good presentations, I can tell you, please do stick around. We have some great chapter meetings planned in our breakout rooms. One of the things that you do need to know is you need to have the latest version of Zoom in order to take full advantage of our breakout room. So if you don't have the latest version, the 5.0 at the very least, you may notice that you won't be able to access the breakout rooms. And so we will open those up very shortly. So you'll be able to see that button at the bottom if you're on a computer or a laptop. If you're on a phone or a tablet, it will be in the options. But again, you need to have the latest version. So what I would suggest is if you don't have the latest version, in between, so when our speakers are done and when we're going to the breakout rooms, deke out quickly, do your update, and then come back, and we'll make sure that you get into in the appropriate chapter. We are going to be recording our session for today, so that if you do want to refer back to it and check out Nick's awesome presentation and Diana and Vanessa from WSIB, you'll definitely be able to do that. If you have any questions for us here at Landscape Ontario or any of our speakers, please use the chat, and we will do our best to get to your questions and answer them with the time that we do have. We do ask that you keep yourself on mute during the presentations, and in order to show your appreciation for the presentations, definitely use the reactions button with the clapping hands and the confetti. Definitely like to see that. So before we do move on to our presentation, we do have Tony DiGiovanni, our Executive Director, that can get a little bit of a state of Landscape Ontario.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Joe, thanks very much. Thanks for putting on this awesome presentation. Yeah, I just wanted to say a few words. One is that I'm getting about 5 calls a week now from members who are having difficulty with getting insurance or whose insurance rates have gone up a huge amount. In fact, one person I talked to, their insurance went up 350%. And it's especially troubling for those in the snow and ice business. So it is it's awful. It's a crisis, and I just want to let you know that short term it's going to be difficult to deal with, but we do have Marsh, who's our endorsed insurance company, and you know, try them first, and if you can't get them, if they can't help you, then Hub is the secondary source. And then I have another source that I can send you to if you can't get your insurance from those two. But the what we're doing at the association level is we're working with a government relations firm called Earnscliffe, and there are 3 strategies at the government level. One is we are backing Norm Miller, who is the MPP for Muskoka. He's put forward a bill called Bill 118. And Bill 118 will change the statute of limitations from 2 years to 10 days. The Bill 118 committee, it met last Monday. There was 20 spots for presentations. 10 of the spots were from Landscape Ontario members. And so we got our points across, and it looks like Bill 118 will become law probably in the new year. It's very rare that a private member's bill becomes law, but because of the great lobbying and government relations work from you, we're going to get through that. Norm has also decided that he's going to back us on another strategy, and that's we're going to copy the New Hampshire model. In New Hampshire, contractors that take an accreditation program are protected from liability. And so we created an alliance, and we're going to push that New Hampshire model. And the third thing that we're doing on the government relations strategy is we're lobbying for fair, hold harmless clauses. Those of you in the business know that many times the contracts that you have basically force you to assume all liability, even for things that you aren't responsible for. So those are some of the items that we're working on that particular issue. And I just wanted to focus on it because I know there's a lot of hurt out there. We're on the insurance side, we are investigating with Marsh the feasibility of starting a captive insurance company, which is basically a cooperative insurance company. And there are a group of members that have created what's called an SIR, a self-insured retention model. And so there's some hope on that end as well, that they're just going through the process. So that's just a quick update on the insurance issue. I also want to update you really quickly on the GROW program. As you know, one of the biggest issues in our profession is recruitment and retention of employees. And we have created a program called the GROW program. And one of the main aspects of this program is that we find unemployed people, we train them for 6 weeks, and then we get them jobs. And we're doing it as a pilot in Toronto, Hamilton, and Muskoka. The first 20 students went through, 18 of them got jobs, and we're going to be doing another 3 cohorts in January. So if you're interested in being an employer for one of these candidates, then just let Sally Harvey know, or just email Joe or I. We'll make sure to connect you. So that's all I want to say, because I know you're not here for me, but so I'm gone for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Really appreciate that. And, you know, there's a lot happening with Landscape Ontario. And so we really appreciate that really quick update. One thing that we have noticed that there is a cap on our account for Zoom at 100 attendees. So we're working at fixing that to bump that up quickly. I don't know if that was something that we anticipated at the beginning, but we're certainly surprised at the reaction and the welcoming of this kind of meeting. So we are working on trying to boost that count. So stay with us. So that takes us to our featured speaker for today, Nick McCullough. Nick is an APLD certified landscape designer who has won numerous awards, including Young Professional of the Year from the Perennial Plant Association and Ohio Nursery and Landscape Association. He is a self-described plant nerd, and he's passionate about perennials and has a masterful understanding of how plants thrive in the Midwestern climate. His love of cultivating extends to Red Twig Farms, the nursery extension of his business, where unique perennials, annuals, specimen trees, and hedges are grown for use in his own designs. His social media presence of over 3 million Pinterest followers makes him a standout in the industry and a very sought-out public speaker. Nick, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you're busy. It's a bit of a crazy time.
Oh, but, I'm honored to be here. Thanks so much. And
got it.
Yeah, and Joe, I always appreciate you bringing me along, and thank you so much for being a good friend over the years. And I hope to really inspire. I know it's tough these days I get it. I'm a social butterfly, so to speak, and so I know we all thrive on getting together and sharing stories and networking and talking about trials and tribulations, and it's tough. So the Zoom has certainly been interesting, and I think we're all learning to enjoy it. So hopefully you guys get a quick reprieve and some inspiration. So I'll try to talk slowly. I tend to speak very quickly. Normally my speeches are at least an hour plus, and so I always try to cram a lot in. So I'm from Columbus, Ohio. So from Toronto, it's about a 5.5, well, probably 6-hour drive, I would say. And I love coming north and visiting often, and I can't wait till the borders open up again and can head that way. I studied garden design in Northwest England, and I also have a design degree from the Ohio State University. So I'm going to talk about just some quick insight on our company structure, our nursery operations, and then a couple case studies I wanted to share with you guys. So company structure. So McCullough's Landscape and Nursery, exceptional landscaping for extraordinary properties. I started this company when I was in high school, actually. I started mowing lawns, and I needed a way to, I was an athlete in high school, and I needed a way to make money and also pay to take my girlfriend out, who is now my wife. And so that's how this company all started. And really, we talk about good work leads to more work. And so really, that's our whole goal. From there, I went to Ohio State. Then I had an opportunity to go to England and study garden design in England. And that really changed my trajectory on life. And so it's really interesting. We're based in Columbus, Ohio. And Columbus is great because there's a lot of expendable income here. It's really cheap to live. We're not a major city. We're I think the 11th largest city in the United States, with roughly 2.5 million in the greater Columbus area. And we have some fantastic architecture. We have a lot of unique settings. You're going to see a lot of photos of gardens, so these are just some quick insights. Some really unique climate. We're like a zone 5, 5B, 6A. I still stay with the 5B with global warming. I'd say I'm happy going to a 7 and then stopping. So, but yeah, so our company structure. So I've been giving this speech for a number of years now, so I had to adapt this talk for current situations. So in 2019, this is the breakdown of our company. So 10% design, 40% installation, and 50% maintenance. And the reason maintenance was always a big deal for us is because in the downturn of the economy last time in 2008, maintenance is what got us through. People could certainly stop installations and could stop any special projects. And so we saw that how important it was to keep our maintenance fleet up and going. It also allows us to create some beautiful gardens, some extraordinary gardens, like we say. So COVID, here's the COVID switch. March hit and we were all like, what's going on? Like, I'll be happy if we do 50% of the work we did last year. Well, as we all know, people wanted to be outside. They wanted to enjoy their gardens, their houses, their refuge. They weren't traveling, so the expendable income went up for spending on their house. So our maintenance team grew. We grew by 5 people. Our installation initially shrunk down. We had a couple larger projects cancel, and our gardens that we build are roughly 100,000 all the way up to $1 million gardens. And so it's all residential design, or garden design and installation. And so then as design, the interest grew. It became 15% of our overall business. And I'm the only designer, so I was busy all summer, and I really loved it. It really pushing the envelope. So 2021 is really interesting because basically we're booked now for all of next year. We have no spots for installation projects, maybe late next fall. Our maintenance is going to grow by another 5 people. And then we're going to be at 50% for our installation team, which is great. We get to grow that, and we have some fantastic projects already on the books that we're hopefully going to keep working on hardscapes throughout the winter if we stay mild, and then really hit it hard on plantings in the spring, and then continue on. And then our design studio is also going to be growing. We're hoping to add another 2 people in our design studio. So this COVID has been a real interesting pivot for everybody. And I'm sure you guys are in the same boat where you just can't keep your head above water. I like it to say it's like drinking from a fire hose, and it certainly has been a case this year. So garden design, when I talk about garden design, I use Dynascape. That's how I initially met Joe. So we go through, this is an initial pitch when I'm talking to clients. Then I'm very visual. Like Joe said, I have a large following on Pinterest. I speak through images. So a lot of times I'm talking about a design and I'm pointing to images. I'm talking about specific insights. Then we can go into full renderings. This is a photo rendering we did for a client's home with a new pool and terraced back area. And then this is what we're doing. We're doing curated bespoke, gardens. This is someone's master bedroom. And containers. I'm a big perennial person. I was raised to love perennials and annuals. So you'll see a lot of perennials, lots of containers and textures as well that come throughout the gardens. I'm big on using native. I'm not exclusively a native person. I think there is a right plant for the right place. It so happens to be that natives fit a lot of those spaces. So here's one of our fantastic natives here in the U.S. prairie, which we're right on the edge of here in Ohio, the rattlesnake master Erigium yuccifolium. And then, down to vegetable gardens. Vegetable gardens for us this year were really big. We saw in America gardening grow by 20 million participants, so to speak. So 20 million more people are now interested in getting in growing vegetables, in patios, and living outside. And I think, for us here, our house and our garden was our refuge. And so we're so lucky to have space to get out and move and, really feel safe. And so it's been great. And so this is an example of what we do container gardening wise. White oak boxes here, and then perennial border in the background for pollinators to come in. Like I said, perennials are huge in what I do. And a lot of times I plant in increments of hundreds in drifts and across a large area. Ornamental grasses are also a massive thing in what we do, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Installation. When we do installation, I'm talking about we do really hands-on hardscapes. We do everything in-house. The only thing we don't do in-house is large-scale tree removal. But we have a great team of craftsmen on staff where we're building these large-scale gardens, and this was one that we just wrapped up last summer. So this is a scale which we're used to working on. So fine garden care, and that's really, we're so lucky that we get to take it to the next level. We get to take the vision and see it through to what we want it to be, right? It's one thing to design, it's one thing to install, but then you have to hand it over sometimes. And we're lucky where we don't do that. 95% of our clients who we install for stay on as maintenance. So we have a built-in growth pattern within our company. So we have a great staff of horticulturists that we do fine garden care, really unique pruning, and a lot of, like you see in Toronto, a lot of European style pruning and things like that. Also, container design is a huge thing in what we do. We do one-off containers for our clients, and we'll talk about where we source our plants from here in a second. Again, espaliers, just doing things that are unique and setting our clients apart is what we're really used to. We work for executive level clientele who travel the world, and so really we like to bring that into their garden at home. Again, the scale in which we work in is very large, and we're very lucky to have the clients we do, certainly. So this is, I think, a really interesting thing to look at. This is our client cycle entry point. So 60%, if you look at our maintenance, 60% of our clients start as maintenance clients. Then what happens is those maintenance clients who we work for, who are the same level of gardens, so we've inherited a garden, then go into design. So they start cycling through this whole cycle of turnkey operations. So they then said, hey, we want to expand the garden and we want to install a fireplace or a perennial garden. So they become a design client, and then that comes in installation. So only 30%, if you think about 40% of our clients start as design clients, and then they feed back into maintenance as well and installation. But only 2% of our clients enter as installation only. So we do work with a landscape architect out of Greenwich, Connecticut, who does some work here in the Columbus area. So we install her gardens. And so those are the gardens that we take on who aren't our own design build in-house. So we do have a good network of some other clients that we install for. So, but mainly we only install our own design work. So another unique thing, I'm very involved with the Perennial Plant Association, and I went on a tour one year and I saw this greenhouse. I'm like, I need one of those, why not? And so lo and behold, I bought a greenhouse and we started growing our own plant material. And so I have a full-time, I would say one full-time and another part-time person who helps here in the greenhouse. And we grow roughly 20,000 annuals a year for our own consumption. So we're creating really unique palette for our clients to have unique containers. And within that, it gives us an opportunity to really have some unique wintering over, so to speak. These are agave Americanas that we bring back and we winter over for our clients. So this time of year, we have a warmer temperate part of our greenhouse, which then we hold over. We charge per square foot for clients to winter over specimen. We don't winter over everything, obviously. Winter over specimen materials like these agaves. They come back and then they go into the greenhouse. Here they are. They're roughly 7-8 feet across and ready to make some tequila here pretty soon. They've been in these containers about 12, 15 years now. And so, so when it's a lot. So those, I should mention, those are tennis practice golf balls in the ends there. So no one pokes their eye out while we're moving them. So it looks like a jester. But really, I'm a passionate perennial person. So we grow, in addition to our 20,000 annuals a year, we grow unique cultivars and for our own consumption within our organization. We are not open for retail. We get on bare root. We also buy in, we buy in plug form from the United States and Canada. And also I ship in bare root from Holland and Belgium, unique specimens that I read Gardens Illustrated or Pete Rudolph's installing. So no one else is growing them. So I figured I might as well grow them myself so we can have those gardens. And here's what you see, unique Eryngiums, Standusorbus, things that are just not widely available in the wholesale trade. And so I basically get to design from my own palette and put into the gardens. And we sustain through plant diversity. And like I said, some of these things we just couldn't get. Natives were crazy hard to get for the longest time. And so I was growing from seed. We were buying in from some specialty nurseries and growing them on. And so it's our way to our sustainability initiative. And so I have developed a plant palette that I really love to choose from that include a lot of Eryngiums, Standusorbus, Allium, Baptisias, Calamenthus, those sorts of things. Very lucky, I realize. And also we bring in specimen material from across the United States to plant in our clients' gardens. And so a lot from Oregon, a lot from actually up around New York and the Cleveland area as well. But then we also started growing our own specimens in our field. And these are specimen hornbeams that we basically can number in the morning, dig in the afternoon, and replant in the afternoon at a client's house. Most of our workers within 10 miles or so of our own nursery. And so our field to planting is pretty quick. We also grow specimen specimen twigs. We have a twig farm and berries, winter berries, because we do a lot of winter containers. And so that's what we're in the midst of doing right now. We start on Monday with containers. And so we basically go to the field, harvest, and then take them straight to the clients. Another thing I should mention is we are an EPA licensed compost facility. So through compost, our goal is to bring the soil back to life. And so we take all the leaves from our local municipality we grind them and we make our own products in-house as well. And so we have our leaf compost, which is on the very bottom. Then we mix it to make Nix Mix soil and Nix Mix mulch, and where we're incorporating leaf and hardwood. I know it sounds narcissistic, but Nix Mix just came out one day and it kind of stuck. So we're going to go into some case studies. Sorry, I'm talking really fast. I want to make sure you guys see all this stuff. So this is the parterre garden. So this client started in 2012, and they started as a maintenance client. They went into design, installation, and had been in that maintenance cycle and special projects every year for the past 8 years, almost 9 years. It was as a new construction home, so terribly compact soil, pH around 7 is what we're dealing with. So you can kind of get an overview of the scale of what we're dealing with here. And here's the house. The house is gorgeous, brand new build, Georgian style. I should say the part of Columbus I live in is in New Albany. And so Georgian architecture is a guideline here. And so brick homes, this one's limed or whitewashed. So it has a really unique feel to it. But this is what we showed up to. So they started as a maintenance client. We had a really rough winter. They lost so many boxwoods. These roses weren't doing well. And these clients love everything French. And so we started out by diversifying the species on the site. And then we also started with incorporating the blues and silvers that you'd find in a Parisian garden. And again, the specimen materials that we're bringing in, the Espalier apples here. This is a Granny Smith apple that grows on the wall. It's a candelabra shape. I'd say it's roughly around 12 feet tall now. And you can ever so slightly see it's growing on stainless steel cables that we guided up. And so we planted them, and go back a couple, and you see how small they were when we planted them here. And we've trained them up this tall. Again, lavender as well. This is phenomenal lavender from the United States, from Peachtree Nursery. So awesome, awesome lavender that we couldn't grow lavender to save our life, and this one did survive 4 or 5 years in the ground. And again, see the espaliers here that are framing this window. So these clients on a normal year, would spend about a month in France. And so again, the boxwood framing is really key. Blue hues and containers here. Across the front, you can see the house has really unique architecture. But the major thing that we had to do was frame out and add privacy along the sides of the house. Because of the way the house sits, there's windows all the way around, and so they had no privacy with these kind of zero lot lines. So we started by adding in these cleached arborvitae hedges. So we planted them. You can see back here. Here's what they are when they went in, foliage to foliage. Then we start by training them off and having a very hedge green wall look to them. This is really deceiving. They bought a golf course view, but decided they didn't want to see the golf course. So we then went through and bleached these trees and hydrangeas across the back of their house to hide the golf balls from coming into the yard. And here's an example again of coming into, we dug these in the morning at our nursery, planted them in the afternoon, and here's what we started out with, and here's what we have today. These are trained at 15 feet tall. And so it gives the client a complete private back garden, and you'll see inside that hedge here pretty soon. And I couldn't have this vision come to life without my fantastic team of gardeners who work for us, and we're so lucky to have that hydrangea hedge running down the side. So this is on the side of the house that leads to the backyard, is what I call an auxiliary area. It's a transitional space. But man, you can make some big, bold statements in those transitional spaces. This is what we inherited initially, and here's what we came up with. So they wanted a parterre. Well, they didn't know what they wanted. I came up with this parterre of perennial boxwood framing and perennial gardens in the back. As you see, the house is completely all glass, and if you look up to the upper left, that is their master bedroom balcony. So they look down onto this with the French fountain that they shipped from Provence. And I should say this client, here another angle of the perennial garden, this client lives in Chicago and was planning on retiring to New Albany. And so they would only be in town for, one weekend the month, so for many, many years. So the garden always had to be spot on. So we were always making sure it was primped, and we didn't know when they were flying into town. So we had to make sure it was always on. So perennial sequential bloom was huge. So I wanted to make sure there was always something interesting in the garden. So you see the Stachys humella here, Salvia cardana, penstemon dark towers in the back. And I can send anyone a perennials list from this job. If you guys are interested, you can email me at the end. And then we go into the calamentha and alliums that come on in the heat of the summer. And you can see them here in full bloom with the Agastache Blue Fortune in the background. So that sequential bloom throughout the entire season was really key in what we were doing. Here's what we inherited, and here's what they ended up with now. So hedging, privacy, lots of fountains, and they love to socialize, but they love their privacy as well. Containers are huge, like I said, and a lot of times it's silver, blues, and whites that we do incorporate into the garden because it looks so good with the brick in New Albany. And here's where they spend most of their days, honestly. So the team will show up, they'll come around back, and there's Kathy and Bill, and they'll just hang out and talk to them the entire time that they're gardening. And so really fortunate to have worked with them for 9 years now, and especially this year, they just wrote us letters thanking us how much they loved their garden and how much they were able to just enjoy it since they couldn't travel. They could escape into their garden. And here's really the entire vision was achieved, with the hedging at the height, the blocking the house next door, and really kind of bring their entire focus in. So social media. So Joe had mentioned that social media, and so I get a lot of pushback, like, oh, how do you find time to do it? And my response is, how do you not have time to do it? It's so important in selling, and a lot of my work, as we'll talk about, comes from social media. And this is one of my favorite quotes, and my wife gave this to me. I have a post, I should say. She gave me a poster that has this on it, and it is me in so few words. And so my social media, so I'm on Instagram, I'm on Pinterest, and we have a blog as well, in which we write. So right now I'm roughly, 13,000 followers on Instagram, and then 3 million plus on Pinterest. And I get work from social media. Social media is a great way of showcasing your work and getting it out there, and it's showing you your curated style to everyone. So the people know you before they contact you. So what it's doing is validating you, and it's having them decide that they want to work with you before they even meet you, right? And so it's a great feeling to walk into a situation and they're showing you pictures of your jobs, and I love this, I love that. And so it's a really key thing is it's so easy to do. People love a voyeuristic look. It doesn't all have to be polished. These are not professional photography. This is like what's going on that day, and talking about things and being open about what you're doing and why you're doing it is really key. And so 90% of my clients viewed my Pinterest or Instagram page before contacting me. And so it's so easy. When I meet with clients, I'm a 95% close rate because they know. We're very good at screening as well on the front end. We only have time to take on so many clients. And when we get on a project that is, $500,000, that takes several months. And so we have to make sure we're really making sure we're a good fit for our clientele. So Oak Grove is a really interesting project. So it's a 100-acre organic farm that turned event space. It started in 2015, and we're still currently working on it. It's many, many years as a phase projects. And so it's now a wedding venue. And so Oak Grove was all based around this one oak tree that was standing on this field and was just this sentinel, and kind of drew us all in. So this was a really interesting project where my wife and I actually teamed up and did the architecture, interior design, and the gardens for this entire space. Obviously, COVID had a lot to say about events and gatherings, and so Oak Grove has still really, really survived. I should say we don't own this; it's for our very good friend Val Jorgensen and her son David Karakomi. And so we created this spot for them to host. Initially, it was for 50-person weddings. Then it grew to 100 100-person weddings, and now we can host 250 people at this wedding venue. I think one of the crowning things is we searched far and wide for character in this space, and we found this Lord and Burnham, a 101-year-old greenhouse on Craigslist that was going to be scrapped. And we found it in Michigan. It was about 3.5 hours north of us. It got numbered, taken down, and reassembled here to make this space really unique. All the timber is authentic and 100 years old as well. And it really made this space very special. You can see how it's just framed here by the hornbeams. This was, I think, a couple weeks ago. I took this on my Instagram. And we started doing this fun thing too with mowing variation heights. And this is what we call our tartan lawn, or a textured lawn. And so we'll be doing more on that here in the future on my social medias about how we achieve this. So really, people call it the COVID lawn. Everyone stands on a square, kind of a chessboard lawn as well. So yeah, it's really cool. So the ceremony happens inside here. But the big thing is the gardens and the education. And since this is an organic farm, it's really important to talk about pollinators, to talk about the importance of plant diversity and biodiversity. And so that was a great opportunity here to create beautiful gardens. Then people don't know why they are so taken with this space. It's because they're surrounded by green, they're surrounded by blue skies, they're surrounded by trees. And so it's easy for them to fall in love with it. And so we use a lot of really cool pollinators. I kept a silver and green tone. Silver, green, and white is the only colors I used in this garden. So the brides could have their moment and put their spin on it. But also we use this tobacco brown barn paint to really emulate the tobacco barns that were covered in creosote to help dry the tobacco leaves. And so we did that here. And so the silvers and greens really, really pop. And you can see this is just from a couple weeks ago. And so it really kind of turned into a viral space. This is a prime example where Instagram and social media sold this entire venue. It is booked for all of 2021. It is booked for most of 2022 and was named one of the top venues in the world. And it was number 11 new venue in the world by, I think, this venue report. And so it's really, really amazing to see how people are taken with this space. So another thing we did, we teamed up with Country Casual Teak out of Maryland here in the United States. They gave us these containers, and then so every season we swap these containers to talk about them. And so they are massive 3x3 containers that we are able to make these huge statements. And so if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to see the journey that they have every year. And again, social media and this viral kind of effect that a garden had on this entire space. Gardens turned economically very viable. And so we see that a lot, especially these days, being able to be outside and host events. And so they are still hosting events. It is certainly smaller. There's no dancing, and they were able to social distance all summer. So because the first phase, which was the greenhouse and the central barn, went so well, we built the second phase on the right. And there you go. That's enough said with that beautiful shot and landscape lighting. I should just say landscape lighting is an ultra key thing in what we do as well. It extends our season. We all know how dark and dreary our landscapes can be all winter. And I'm preaching the choir here, but you guys all know how important landscape lighting is, and the quality in LED lighting these days has just come so far. And it's really, really, really easy to do. So we created this other indoor seated room here, where that's where they now have they can seat 250 people indoors, and it was really fun. And so follow its journey on Instagram, because we're always posting from there. Projects in the works. So my house. So we built our house in 2016, and we're so fortunate to be able to build in a really cool space. And this past summer and this past May, we were featured in Better Homes and Gardens, which was very, very cool, and super honored. They came and shot it last year. But because of my European heritage of design, I love the idea of a boulevard of trees planted in gravel. And so this is me. So I'm the only one who does maintenance here. It's my refuge. It's how I get to spend my time and relax. And so this is me up on an orchard ladder trimming my hedges. And so you'll see them here in a second. But the idea was this very plant diverse garden where it's our laboratory, essentially. I have 2 young kids. And so it's where they can run around and not worry about being in the gardens or anything. Everything's kind of fair game here. And again, landscape lighting is very key. These are bleached European hornbeams that are planted in an 1/8-inch gravel across the back of our patio. And you can see here from a different bird's eye view, they're planted. So they're basically our living umbrellas. The idea is that we don't have umbrellas up most of the year. They provide shade. They are pleached and squared off just for uniqueness. And I think it's really cool. This is one of the shots that was in the magazine last year. And Gabby Herman out of Brooklyn, New York, came and flew in and shot our garden, and we're super thrilled. But this is our garden at any given day, right? We're out playing as a family, and all summer long we're able to enjoy it. And this is Charlotte. She's like, Dad, why you take so many pictures of our garden? She just couldn't take it, so she collapsed. But it's my laboratory for perennial combinations, for bulbs, for just pushing an envelope. We have so many deer here. We have so many diseases. And so this is me pushing the envelope to see how things work, what thrives, what doesn't. And one thing my wife, Allison, said is, I want a full plan before you start, because she doesn't want this to just be an orphanage, that everything that comes home from a job site, right? And I think it's happened so many times to all of us. There have been some orphans that have come home, I must say. But I did start with a design. And it's easy for your own home not to, but it really worked out. And this was the shoot that we did last year for Country Casualty in our backyard. And so you can see how basically the idea of this patio terrace was that it's an open book, right? It can be whatever we want it to be at any given day. We can change up the furniture and really change up on the fly. Again, perennials, Patricia geranium in the foreground, the Salvia cardana there in the background. Again, I have a plant list for all these if you guys are interested. Calamintha, Montrose white has to be one of my all-time favorites. That's the white there in the middle. It blooms starting in July, doesn't stop. I think it just stopped blooming this last weekend after we had our first major freeze. And it feeds the pollinators and bees all summer long. I think outside of Pygmanthemum mountain mint, that it's probably the most visited perennial in the garden by the pollinators. And you can see just the autumn light as it comes into play. And that's the hedge I was shooting on earlier. Again, large grasses. So even though I love gardening and I love taking care of gardens, I'm a dad. We play hockey here in the family, and so there's only so much time in the day. So my garden had to be high impact, low input, right? So about 60% of my garden is ornamental grasses. So as we know, as they're established, they're very little to take care of. Again, also great American and native perennials like Amsonia. This is blue ice here. There's nothing to do to it. We basically cover our ground plane in perennials, and so they smother weeds. There's very little weeding after established, and it's a great way to garden, and that's certainly how we do it. And this is what it's all about. This entire summer was about spending time in the garden with the family. We could easily we just enjoyed summer, picking flowers and just having fun all summer. Experimenting with bulbs and vines, but it's the nature that the kids get to experience as well. This is a monarch butterfly larva as they came through. This summer we stopped counting after several hundreds came through. And then Allison, my wife, has a cutting garden. She has like a 20 by 20 plot behind the hedge that she's allowed to do whatever she wants. And this is the arrangements that she created over the summer from the garden. Again, bulbs, and also art and sculpture, pushing the envelope of reusing. We find a lot of salvaged materials here in the Midwest and the Rust Belt. And so these are old wagon wheel rims that I welded stems on, and I basically shoved them down to the ground as sculpture. And here they are in the wintertime. And what's not to love about that? perennials, combinations, and this border is an experimental border where I kind of switch it up. There's an annual layer that comes into play, and then we switch it up. And but for the most part, 95% are perennials that come in there with the Allium Millennium, the Panicum in the background, that's dewy blues. And then also we're doing a lot of experimenting with no-mow fescues, chewing fescues that can tolerate some shade. I'm finding I don't like to mulch a lot, even though we are a mulch processing and composting facility. So I'm trying to experiment with living mulch and these no-mow fescues, and designing areas within a manicured space that goes to a no-mow, and around the trees is left shaggy on purpose, I will say. But then experimenting with textures and colors, and this is a tone-on-tone garden we did around our house, where we used a lot of, well, only silvers, and you'll see here as we come around the house, this is it at its infancy, and it gets later in the season last year. And so some are perennials, some are annuals. A lot of things were done with cuttings in our nursery, and this is this year with our large cordoon there in the middle, and the silver textures that come around on the black portion of our house. So really, to me, the black was done entirely on purpose for a modern touch to our house, but is also done so the plants would pop off these dark textures. And this sums it up. All the wellies, our containers, are unique finds, and silver textures in our house. This is really us in a photo, I would say. And so thank you so much. And if you guys are looking for a speaker, you can find me at greatgardenspeakers.com. You can also go there and rate my talk today. And please reach out to me. Here's all my contact info. And thank you so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed and were able to get some inspiration through in this COVID world.
Nick, thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody, let's show Nick some love. Show that through the reactions here. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
We do have, there's a couple of questions that did come through that that I noticed, and if anyone else does have questions, we'll take one or two. When you're calculating numbers for your upcoming season, are the projects insured with a deposit?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to get on our list, you have to give us a deposit. And so this is different than when we start a project, we get a 50% deposit up front. I should say all design fees are paid for separately from the design project itself. So design fees are separate. They get a design contract, we go through the design process, that's all paid for, and then we go into the actual construction process. So when we ramp up for a project, it's 50% down to the entire project. When we're doing a placeholder, so say for next July, there's a project coming up, we do a third down. So that will go against that initial 50% ramp up, but yeah, it's a third down to save your spot in line. And we have a couple good friends I met through APLD who taught me how to do that. And then basically you can, it's just good business. And that way they have skin in the game, the clientele. And then, if there were to be another, catastrophe in the world, there's a portion that is non-refundable as well.
Right. Thank you. And one last question. I forget who asked it, but I did copy it down. People pay you to plant vegetables, or do you design the garden and then they buy the plants?
Yeah. We harvest them for it too. We take them inside the house. Sometimes we put them inside the refrigerator.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I would say our clientele live a different, a jet set lifestyle. Yeah. And so, we don't say no, right? These people expect the world and we expect to give it to them, right? And so customer service is key. I've read a lot through the customer service of Disney or Nordstrom's or however you get inspiration. I think you figure it out. If you haven't done it before, you figure it out and you make it happen, or you bring someone in who knows how to do it. But yes, we absolutely do.
Right on. Nick, appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks so much.
This was incredible. I'm reading some of the follow-ups, and people are already asking how they can get a copy of the recording, and just
cool.
loved your photos. So if you're not following Nick on Instagram, Nick McClan, at Nick McClan, definitely follow him. You'll be able to see all the photos that he's presented here and way more. When we were initially talking about Nick doing this talk, he asked me if he had 3 hours, and I said I wish we could get him on for 3 hours, but we'll have to have you back again.
Well, I would love to, and when we can all be in person again, I would love to come up. This is a small fraction of a longer talk, and if you guys have other garden groups or things, I do speak to them as well, and so please feel free to reach out, and we can make something work. I do have a number of speeches lined up, and actually a couple in-person ones for this winter. We'll see if they happen. They'll probably go to Zoom, but we'll see.
Right on. Thanks so much, Nick.
All
really
right.
Appreciate your time.
Great to see you guys. Bye.
Great to see you. Up next, we have an incredible presentation from the folks at the Worker Safety Insurance Board of Ontario. We have Diana Ray, who is the stakeholder engagement lead for WSIB. She partners with industry associations and other key stakeholders to advance WSIB's strategic goal of making Ontario healthier and safer. Prior to this role, she managed the team that designed the new Health and Safety Excellence Program in collaboration with WSIB's network of approved providers. She also formerly worked at the Ministry of Labor's Prevention Office, developing and implementing a system-wide OHS strategy for the province. We also have Vanessa Blount, and she's a program manager consultant with WSIB, with an extensive background in epidemiology in the University of Toronto. And as a new member of the stakeholder engagement team, she's especially excited about the innovative health and safety program created by WSIB. Before joining, she had focused her last 20 years in the healthcare sector, where she led program development, quality, and improvement in performance measurement in private, government, and not-for-profitable and charitable organizations. Everyone, welcome Vanessa and Diana to talk about WSIB's Health and Safety Excellence Program.
Thank you, Joe. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Sound coming through all right?
Yeah,
wonderful. Excellent. So I think Vanessa is going to share her screen so we can get the presentation up before we begin.
Is it not sharing?
Not yet, unless I'm, I think it's coming on. I can see myself though,
it's coming.
which is always a little disturbing, but that's okay. Yeah. Wonderful, there we have it. Can everyone see the presentation all right?
We can.
Fantastic. So hi everyone, so great to be here with you today. I look forward to sharing information with you on our Health and Safety Excellence Program and how it can help you save time, earn money, rebates, and recognition while keeping your people healthy and safe. Now, I know the last 8 months have been challenging ones, and for those of you with seasonal businesses, I know those challenges have been amplified. And I want to first commend you for all that you're doing to protect your employees and customers. I also want to thank Landscape Ontario for all the great guidance and support they've provided to the horticulture sector. I certainly hope the information that Vanessa and I share with you today can provide further support to those efforts. So in terms of our agenda, we have 3 things that we'd like to discuss with you today. First, we want to talk about why invest in health and safety, and then how the Health and Safety Excellence Program can help you, and what your next steps are. So everywhere we go, the thought of being safe and avoiding COVID-19 is top of mind, not just to protect ourselves, but our loved ones as well. This has really become our new reality. It's a culture shift that likely will have permanent implications similar to other major world events, such as the financial crisis of 2008. And the unwavering commitment we've seen from our leaders, the daily communications on COVID prevention, and consistent focus on health and safety have brought about an unprecedented level of awareness and safety culture. So let me just quickly talk to you for a minute about safety culture. At WSIB, we consider safety culture the degree to which health and safety is living and breathing in your business. So how safe do your employees really feel coming to work? Do they believe that you are a safe employer? And do they feel they have a voice in health and safety, and that health and safety is top priority for your business? Let me tell you a quick story. I was engaging with a manufacturing business a few years ago. They were a mid-sized business in the Etobicoke area. They actually produced steel. And they were very concerned with meeting health and safety legislative requirements. So they hired a health and safety consultant. They developed a number of procedures, put up the health and safety board, made sure they had the right training, the right forms, and that things were put in the right places for health and safety. So they really checked all the boxes and felt they had done everything in their power to prepare well. Unfortunately, though, one day there was an employee of that business that used a piece of machinery and did not follow the pre-use inspection. So they used this machinery in an unsafe way and unfortunately lost both of their thumbs, which was very tragic and life-altering for that employee. Not to mention the employer was fined $70,000 by the Ministry of Labor, Training and Skills Development, had their name appear on the ministry's website, which is not a good thing, and faced a number of other costs, legal costs, accommodating that injured worker, retraining, all sorts of stuff. And they were really perplexed and wondered, where did I go wrong? I thought I did everything possible to prevent injuries and illnesses. Well, the problem was health and safety in that business was seen as a formality, as something that you check off a list. Even the safety talks were done as something that you just kind of get over with. It wasn't seen as a way of doing business, and it wasn't ingrained into everything that that business did. It needs to be that non-negotiable, and every employee truly needs to understand why health and safety is important so they can buy in. So the good thing is the Health and Safety Excellence Program can really help you build that thriving health and safety culture. But before we dive into that, let's take a quick look at the data. Pre-COVID, our employees were getting injured and becoming ill on the job every single day. There may have been less media attention, but the impacts were just as devastating. Now I'm going to quickly talk about lost time injuries. A lost time claim is when a worker suffers a work-related injury or disease and requires being away from work for at least a day. Lost time injury rate is the number of injuries per 100 workers. So as you can see, in landscaping and related services, the lost time injury rate is quite a bit higher than the average. It's 2.47 compared to 1.78 for the agriculture sector and 0.98 for the average of all industries. So that's more than double. So there's a really good opportunity for us to work together to reduce harm to our employees and also bring down our collective premium rates in the landscaping sector by reducing the number of injuries and illnesses and fatalities in the sector. Now, the top injury event in landscaping and related services is contact with objects and equipment, and the occupation with the highest claim count is primary laborers. Now, what we need to do is we need to address the root causes of these injuries and illnesses, which means we need to go beyond compliance with legislative requirements, because if we don't, our people will continue to get hurt at work. There will be costs such as litigation costs, fines, costs of accommodating injured workers, retraining, rehiring. We also could face disruptions to our business operations and decline productivity, not to mention employee morale. No one likes to see their colleague get injured. And unsafe employers typically do see increased absenteeism, poor employee mental health. There was actually a very recent study by the Institute for Work and Health and the Occupational Health Clinics for Ontario Workers that found higher levels of anxiety and depression amongst workers who felt they lacked COVID-19 protection on the job. Also, employees working in a safer environment can focus better on their work and their customers because they don't have to worry about their personal safety. And lastly, your business reputation is really at stake here. We don't want negative media attention that some businesses we know have received, which can be catastrophic. We want to earn the public trust. We want to retain and attract customers, investors, and top talent. At the WSIB, we actually have a website called Safety Check. It's an open data portal featuring the injury record of every registered employer in Ontario. So many of their customers, employees, and job seekers are using this tool to find safe employers, to find safe businesses. So here's the good news. The Health and Safety Excellence Program can help you with all of this. In 2019, we launched a new Health and Safety Excellence Program. And through the program, you can receive support from a WSIB-approved health and safety provider that will guide you in improving your workplace health and safety. You're also going to be able to build that strong, vibrant workplace safety culture, get access to a free culture assessment tool to measure how safe your employees feel at work and how your efforts are paying off. The program has flexible options, which allows you to work on what makes the most sense for your business. And you can access the program through our user-friendly online portal, so you can participate anywhere and at any time. You're going to earn rebates on your WSIB premiums, and the rebates are quite significant for the smaller business to really help you invest in health and safety. And you're going to earn digital badges to strengthen your brand as a safe employer and stand out amongst your industry peers. And we're going to share an example with you of one of your peers that is currently standing out and is involved in our program. And over time, you will see a return on investment. The preliminary findings of an Institute for Work and Health study on estimating the financial benefits to employers of health and safety prevention expenditure shows an average tangible and intangible return on investment of $1 to $3.21 for every dollar invested. That's a threefold investment for some businesses. Now I'm going to hand it over to Vanessa to tell you more about how the program works.
Can you still see my slides?
We can.
All good? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diana. So although we often talk about a roadmap, or you've heard Diana refer to the journey of health and safety, and I'm going to talk a lot about it from that perspective as well. This image actually shows the program from the perspective of building blocks. So we know that businesses across the province are at different stages when it comes to health and safety within their organization. And many of you listening here today could be starting at the foundation level or the intermediate, or you might already be at an advanced level. The word foundation is a word that's probably very familiar to you. As an amateur gardener, you'll see my Guide to Perennials for Ontario on my bookshelf there. You'll have to take my example with a grain of salt. So I like to think of this as being similar to not having the right soil bedding or location as a foundation, because the awareness about the plant's requirements for sunlight and soil acidity just weren't there. So if there's a lack of awareness about the basic requirements, that vision of a thriving garden is much harder to achieve. From the perspective of health and safety, this program was designed to help those who are just new to the program with a foundation of awareness so they can build and grow all the way to excellence. Now, excellence may mean you have reached a level of accreditation by the Chief Prevention Officer and have developed a health and safety management system. However, there are also some topics that we've included in the program that go above and beyond legislative requirements, and I'm going to talk about one of these in the next slide. And I'm also going to talk about some topics that we think best align to the new hazard that's come into your workplaces, which is COVID-19. So within each of the levels, WSIB has worked with experts in the field, as well as looking at legislative requirements and accreditation standards to select the topics that fit within each of the levels. The key here is to think of this as a continuous improvement journey where you can get rewards and recognition at each step of the way, and where you work closely with a provider to ensure your topics are, as Diana mentioned, living and breathing before moving on to the next level. The program is really a guideline for what we know are areas that make a healthy and safe workplace. It doesn't mean that when you sign up, you're automatically going to have to attend an online course in these areas. The program is designed for you to work with a provider and determine the best way to translate your chosen areas of focus or your topics into your work environment. So this table shows you an example of what a business might choose to focus on right now. There are 5 topics out of the 36 that we think are most related to managing the current pandemic situation. It's important to note that we know many of you have already started to implement these in relation to a lot of the government directives and requirements that have come out, but we also know that things are constantly changing, and that just by receiving a directive, it doesn't mean it's living and breathing in your organization. So even though the program eligibility requires you to select new topics, even if you started the work you do with COVID-19 will still be considered new. The first 2 topics there, risk assessment and control of hazards, are also interesting because while they're at a foundations level, they can be repeated. So for example, there may be a new fertilizer on the market that requires learning new controls, new ways of disposal and containment. And this would count as a new topic again, even though you may have already completed control of hazards with COVID-19. I would also like to highlight the workplace health and promotion. This is another interesting topic that was included as part of the program design, but not actually one that's a legal requirement. This aspect of the workplace, however, has become increasingly relevant during this time. As we've been discussing, 2020 has been an unprecedented year, and the mental health impacts of working in an isolated environment and having to remain at a distance from coworkers and clients cannot be underestimated. I don't have time to go into all the options today, but after this presentation is provided to you, after the webinar, I will include an appendix that has a brief description of all the topics at each level so you can see what they look like. So as mentioned before, the WSIB is committed to supporting you with financial incentives for investing in your health and safety. Our vision is to make Ontario the safest and healthiest place to work, and we want to help you help us achieve that goal. So for every topic you implement, you will receive a $1,000 rebate or up to 75% of annual premiums. The formula you see here is what we use to calculate your eligible amounts. So it's your prior year premiums times your predictability times the number of topics you choose to complete. Now, to calculate your own potential rebate, you will need access to an online portal called Compost. If you don't know what that is, I will be providing you with an email address at the end of this presentation so you can connect with somebody one-on-one that can take you through that whole process. If you do know how to get onto Compost, there you will find your prior year premium amount and your predictability. Predictability is the percent to which your premium rate is based on your claims experience. So to make it simple, we have low predictability, which is less than 20%, and high predictability, which is more than 20%. And these predictability categories indicate how much you have individual control as a business in lowering your premiums based on how much you can influence improving your own workplace health and safety. So we've allocated a base of 1.4% per topic if you are in the high predictability category. But if you're in the low predictability category, in other words, you're relying on your employment class, we have accounted for that by providing a 2% rebate per topic for employers in this group. So in this example, the prior year premiums paid by the employer were $7,500. And if you multiply this amount by 2% by 5 topics, the initial calculation only gives you $750. But because we have this minimum amount per topic, which we put in place to take account small businesses who may not pay that high premiums, if you were this business, you would actually get $5,000 rebate. An example of a micro business that might pay, let's say, $3,000 in premiums, the initial calculation would result in a $300 return for 5 topics. But in reality, you'd actually get $2,250 back because that's 75% of your premium. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the digital marketing that you can do in the next slide. So part of the recognition for your efforts includes the use of digital badges. And while we place member badges on the WSIB Safety Check website that Diana already referred to, which again is open to the public, you can see here the example for the Scott Wentworth Landscape Group. You can also use these badges to showcase your commitment to health and safety as a member of the program, whether it's on your website, your printed materials, your Instagram, your Pinterest, your email signatures. It's there for you to use. So each time a level is complete, you also receive a performance badge, and they're shown here for the foundation, intermediate, and advanced levels. Again, to note on the safety Safety Check website, for those of you who may not know, the public can look up your history of injury statistics, allowed injury claims, and benefit payments. So it looks really good if you're working on the program to have that badge up there. Now let's talk about how easy it is to participate in the Health and Safety Excellence Program. We describe the program as having 4 steps in the journey: join, develop, demonstrate, and achieve. I'm going to briefly take you through each of these, but these are the steps that you'll often hear your provider or any program consultant you talk to, they'll refer to these different steps. They're also described on our website and much of the education materials around the program. So there are 34 providers that you can choose to work with to actually implement your chosen topics. Once you have decided that this program is right for you, the first step is to join with a provider, and then you'll complete a online health and safety assessment. Like Diana mentioned, everything is digital, which makes it really easy for a lot of people to access the same information. So by filling out this assessment, both you and the provider can have a conversation on where you are in your health and safety journey. So what's your baseline, where might you need to focus your efforts, and it will help you make the best decision now on what you need to work on and also create a foundation for future work. Their role is as a consultant as well as a provider of resources and tools to help guide you through the implementation of your chosen topics. And they're going to ensure that you don't take on topics that are too basic or too advanced, and they may recommend you do some topics together. So for example, we have 3 separate return to work topics. So you don't have to do them all together, but it may be a more efficient approach to get more topics completed around the same theme and therefore more return on your investment. The providers offer a wide range of fees, and many accommodate the needs of smaller businesses. So with the amount that you receive back in the rebate, you should still come out with a definite positive return on your investment. So step 2 is developed. And as I mentioned, once you've selected your topics, your provider will help you with planning and implementing these. It's important to note, again, that the program is designed for you to work with the provider to customize ongoing health and safety topics that you implement at your pace and ones that make sense for your size and type of work. The ultimate goal is excellence, but for those new to health and safety, joining the program should bring immediate and lasting benefits as you continue your journey through all the levels. Now, when we look here at a high level of those employers in the agricultural sector, of which landscaping and related services fits, for those who have joined the program, 23% are working at the foundation level, 32% are at the intermediate level, and 45% are participating at an advanced level. Step 3, demonstrate. So the third part of the journey happens after you've implemented your topics. In other words, you've embedded them in your operations in a sustainable way. It's best if you think of this step as illustrating your health and safety initiatives instead of documenting a safety checklist. There are many innovative ways to show how you have done this. So you could post photos of your safety boards, or even just creating a safety board, or videos of workers teaching new employees how to use new pieces of equipment in a safe way. Because we've moved to a digital platform, we actually encourage using alternatives to written documentation. As we saw before, the amazing presentation with all those pictures. Sometimes pictures speak louder than words. We do encourage you to do that. So your provider is also here to help you through this stage. But an independent WSIB health and safety specialist will be the one that actually validates that your topic is living and breathing in your business. To note, the validators view your evidence with a customized lens. They have access to all the notes and your action plans, which are on the digital tool. So they'll be able to see your journey, take into account your size, your level, and they will apply this to the validation process. Step 4, achieve. So once you've been given a check mark that you have indeed completed your topics, you will receive your rebate and performance badges once a level has been completed. This is an annual process, so rebates are released multiple times throughout the year, and your provider will work with you to set up an action plan where you can maximize the timing of this final step in your first phase. So you may still be wondering, is this right for me? What about my colleagues who have joined the program? What has their experience been like? So here's the story of Scott Wentworth Landscaping Group, who joined the program this past summer. They're a medium-sized landscaping business, and they have a dedicated and passionate team full of, as they put in their own words, fantastic craftsmen devoted to their craft. During discussions and observations of work, however, it came to light that there was a lack of knowledge on how to implement and deal with a variety of health and safety concerns related to injury management and accountability. There were issues with underreporting of injuries, supervisor accountability, due diligence in documentation like notice of projects, training, and what it meant to have return to work with modified duties. Not understanding what to do in time after an injury has occurred, and just a general lack of awareness of policy and procedures. It's easy to imagine that these things aren't going to happen to you. However, when they do, employees need to know how to respond safely, appropriately, and to document. And that's not only so that workers can return to work, but the lessons learned here to avoid an incident the next time around are very important. And without documentation, it's really easy to forget what happened. Culture is also key here. Employees need to understand the importance of documentation, not so that they are blamed, but so that the organization can use this information to improve and prevent. The journey so far. So although not new to health and safety, as a past member of the safety group program, Scott Wentworth recognized that there was still work to be done, and they didn't have the capacity to do this on their own. I have just paraphrased the journey so far, and I'd like to thank Scott Heineman for sharing the story with me. And he also shared an example of one of their topics, which was related to return to work. So as part of the development, an email went out to all employees with the new policy and procedures. Staff went to sites, they had discussions with everyone, and yet after an injury occurred, the appropriate escalation and notification procedures still weren't followed. So this showed them that the training was probably not quite as effective as they had thought. And as a result, too, the employee wasn't initially offered modified duties. It was a good test, and it gave them some important information. The experience so far has been eye-opening. And the rest of the quote again speaks to the living and breathing of implementing health and safety topics. I know we're tired of hearing communication is key, but it's true. Whether it's telling the right person or providing the key information required to make decisions. To wrap this all up, with the heightened awareness of health and safety everywhere right now, this program can help you with your immediate health and safety needs, as well as what lies ahead for us in the future of this new normal. The Health and Safety Excellence Program was designed to bring you the many benefits of investing in health and safety. And really, just by participating in the program alone promotes a positive and supportive culture. You will receive rewards for your efforts, which include both the financial rewards and the opportunity to lower premiums and hopefully preventing the need for injury claims, as we talked about earlier. And from what I know, looking at our data, there are over 1,000 landscape businesses that fit our profile of employers that could benefit from the program based on factors like having high lost time injury rates compared to their peers. It's also an opportunity to showcase your commitment to health and safety with digital badges to strengthen your brand alongside your beautiful Instagram and Pinterest pictures. This will help employees, customers, and the communities you serve feel confident and safe working with you. And not that this wasn't important before, but it is especially so now. I think this new normal is going to include changes to green space and the way we use it, and Nicholas confirmed that in his presentation, not only for the public, but for those who are spending more time at home. So as you plan for your business expansions and are looking to attract new staff, they're going to want to know that they're supported by a safe and healthy environment. Illness and injury are expensive, and the costs are actually amplifies for small businesses. So if you're a two-person operation, one person gets an injury or an illness that requires them to have time off, and that's not good for so many reasons. That's obvious. I was part of a two-person team as a landscape assistant. In other words, I mowed all the lawns many years ago as one of my part-time summer jobs. My boss, who was a seasoned professional looking for some help during the busy season, while a lovely and kind man, he didn't really provide me with the training and protective wear I know now I really could have used. I'm lucky nothing happened except a very painful wasp bite. So if you are ready to go and I have convinced you today that this is the right thing to do, these are the next steps that you can take. You can email one of our program consultants using the health and safety excellence at WSIB.on.ca if you want some direct help in understanding how this might particularly apply to your business, or you can go to the website and peruse the providers. Or if you want to hear more details on the program and you know someone that might benefit from knowing more, a much more detailed account of the topics and other program elements are provided at our info sessions, and you can sign up for these on the WSIB website under Health and Safety Excellence. So I hope this was helpful, and I thank you for your time at the end of the day today. And I guess we'll open it up for questions or comments.
Thank you so much, both Diana and Vanessa. That was incredible and so really important and helpful to see how you illustrated how the Scott Wentworth Group really maximized what they're doing through the Health and Safety Excellence Program. I think what we'll do is we will get the contact information and the follow-up and how people can get involved, and we'll do that in the follow-up with the link to the recording. So thank you again for your time. This has been a fantastic presentation. Your value to Landscape Ontario is unprecedented. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having us.
You got it. Thanks so much.